Welcome to episode 95 of the Giant Take podcast. I'm Josh and I'm joined by my co-host Alex. We're here to recap the rookie minicamp / tryouts for two players that have been signed by the New York Giants. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, I'll go right into it. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing good. We're getting to that part of the season where there's not much to talk about, but we do have a lot of stuff to talk about today, luckily. And I'm just excited to go over it. Obviously, there was rookie minicamp. OTAs are now starting, or at least the phase one of the OTAs, because they really start May 24th. So that'll be next week, I guess, for our next week's episode. We'll talk more about what happened for that. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about today. I'm excited to get into it. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm
On this fine on this fine I'm not finished yet, Josh. On this fine Tuesday morning.
okay. Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'm doing well. I'm excited to record this episode coming out on a Tuesday, like Alex said, on a Tuesday, not on our Thursday episode. It's voted by most people. I saw that it's the worst day of the week. And listen, there's some people that think Tuesday is the worst day of the week. I tend to not agree with those people. I would say you really dread that Monday morning, and I dread a Monday morning more than I dread a Tuesday, because I think that Tuesday, I understand why people would vote it the worst, because it's like that carry-on day, it's like the carry over to Wednesday day. Like Tuesday's the most blah day. I feel like boring. Like there's nothing happening on a Tuesday. You're not, I don't think there's anything crazy like that. But Alex, what are your thoughts on the weekdays? This is a weekday podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this real quick. I find Monday mornings terrible. I completely agree with you. I think Sunday nights actually are worse than Monday mornings. That's what I would say. Because Sunday nights you're anticipating the awfulness of the Monday morning. But once you hit Monday morning, you're like, all right, this is the worst it's going to get. It can only get better from here. So I think that Sunday night to Monday morning, that Sunday night sleep is the worst. That's the worst time. That's the worst part of the week.
Your number one day is Saturday, right?
My number one is Friday afternoon after like school or work or whatever anyone's doing. I think Friday afternoon's the best.
I would agree, but we're talking about days right now. This is the thing, like you're not. But I guess I mentioned Monday morning, Tuesday morning. Yeah, okay. But like when you're drafting, John Boy Media, I know they do like drafting days. I think they drafted days in a week or something. But like if I gotta go 1 through 3, I think you go Saturday 1, Friday 2. That's the thing. I would say Sunday is still 3 because you're still off, right? For most people who work 5 days a week, you're still off on that day.
Yeah, but I also feel like Sunday is just like, I don't know, Sunday a lot of people have commitments, right? I feel like Saturday is more of like a chill day where you kind of just do what you want. I feel like Sunday, at least for me, it's more you spend time with family, stuff like that. I know that's for a lot of people. I don't know what you do on Sunday if you're going to church, whatever. Obviously, whatever you do on the weekends. But I don't know. For me, Sunday just feels like it feels a little bit more of like a commitment. I don't know why. It just feels that way. So I would go Saturday, then Friday, then Thursday. I enjoy some Thursdays. Thursdays are a nice day.
Okay, so Thursday is your number 3. That's interesting because it's kind of the carry on to Friday. I get that. Kind of going from here now to another thing that's completely off topic. Since I just remembered, we talked about on last episode that from your personal Twitter at 8orion23, go follow Alex. He was going to tweet something that he felt needed to be tweeted to kind of grow the social media. He's got to do it. He didn't do it once again.
No, you said retweet. I did retweet a few things.
Okay, you retweeted anything that came out of the Talking Blues Twitter, and 2 days ago, you retweeted one thing from Ian Rappaport saying that the Giants are now signing former first-round wide receiver, now tight end, which we'll get into in a little bit, Clement Benjamin.
I feel like I did other things.
Nope. But that...
being deceived.
No, you didn't.
Fine.
You just retweeted a lot of... I think you got I needed a tweet, Alex, not a retweet. We could... All right. But anyway, let's get into rookie mini camps. We had the numbers come out first, obviously, before that Friday. Coming out on Thursday, we have Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, Giants first-round pick, getting 89, which I thought was a Steve Smith Jr. I think that's who it was that wore that number. And I thought...
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. I'm going to look that up for a second.
No.
You keep going through the numbers.
No.
You got it?
Because I know that because we're going to find that right now because Alex doubted me, but I trust myself. Oh, what did I say? 89. What did I say? But I thought because, that was kind of his time when he was growing up, early 2000s, like when we were basically just getting born. I feel like that's when he started watching football. And I was like, oh, probably models his game after Steve Smith. It's an idol. Then we go into his press conference. Oh, I didn't choose 89. I'm like, seriously? I thought there was like some symbolism to that or something. Just like, nope, I didn't even choose my number. Same thing from Ellerson Smith saying about Carl Banks. Did you choose a legendary linebacker New York Giants 58? No, I didn't choose a number. What is going on? So that was Kadarius Toney 89. Azeez Ojulari 51. He didn't say anything about the number issue. Cornerback Aaron Robinson 33. Ellerson Smith, like I mentioned, 58. Gary Brightwell running back for the Giants 37. It's an interesting running back number. Rodarius Williams, cornerback 25. Brett Heggie, undrafted free agent. Go read my article. Check out a few other stuff about him on the GiantTape.com. 61. Guard Jake Burton, another undrafted free agent. We signed 70. Raymond Johnson, defensive end, 91. And obviously we had Sterling Shepard because now there's no categories. And the NFL has now changed that football players can change their numbers to basically whatever they want. Some receivers are going down, including Sterling Shepard, who changes his number to 3, which he wore in college. Hate it. I don't like it. It's just that, you do that in college, you don't do that in the NFL.
I kind of find it disrespectful because obviously Sterling Shepard, to be honest, right? Obviously, Giants haven't had many jersey-worthy players in the past few years, right? So I know a ton of people who have Sterling Shepard jerseys with that number 87 on it. And I feel like you're disrespecting the people that, spent their hard-earned money, that got, their jersey as a gift, or they got it for themselves because they're a big fan. And now it just isn't the same anymore now that they changed their number. I kind of find it disrespectful in that way. It's just kind of my opinion on it. I don't really like that they're allowed to change it. And I think they're kind of being a little bit, they're not really thinking about the people that support them and the fans that, have, make them, right? Because without fans, they wouldn't be getting paid, right? So I feel like it's a little bit disingenuous. That's just my thoughts about it. Not as much about like the numbers, but I feel like if you get a number, you stay with that number. You don't change it, just as a commitment to the fans.
I agree, Alex, and I guess we'll get into the training camp a little bit, or the rookie camp. We had the Kadarius Toney cleat issue. He practiced without a cleat. It was the wrong size, whatever. Of course, the Giant stuff happening, like the Giant stuff happens. No issues with injury troubles. People were already like, he's injured. He's not injured. He's fine. And I guess, Alex, you have a little thing here in the Google Doc if you want to kind of go through that.
Yeah, so basically a lot of people thought the rookie training camp was going to be a lot of, helmets on, hard training. But in reality, they just received their helmets, their jersey numbers. They took the field Friday afternoon for the first time. It was 22 players, including draft picks, undrafted free agents, and tryouts, which is smaller than usual in past seasons. And they just did individual drills, which, was obviously not available to the rookies last season. So it is nice for that. But a lot of it was just, roaming the building, figuring out where the lockers were. And what did Joe Judge say? Finding out where the cafeteria was. He mentioned that like 20 times in his press conference. I don't know why, but he did. So it wasn't as much of a trial as much of a welcome kind of introduction to the Giants facility.
Yeah, and I would say for this as well, the rookie training camps was kind of just showing who has what, what do you got? And another thing was, like you were mentioning, much smaller. Another thing that was kind of different with these rookie mini camps is they haven't seen them until this time. Usually they would meet at pro days. At the NFL Combine is a big one. The scouting combine, a lot of players just meet with a lot of coaches. They have press conferences, whatever it is, or meetings, I should say. And it was funny because a lot of players got asked in their press conferences, which is where I was alluding to, with that, did you meet Joe Judge, Dave Gettleman before today? And a lot of them, I think, said no, which is kind of crazy that the first time you're meeting your new team was immediately when you started rookie mini camps, which is, I thought was pretty crazy. For that, most players were not able to do that. And then Joe Judge kind of also talked about it in his press conference, saying, well, we had a few players on Zoom meetings, and they come to the rookie mini camps, and they're like, oh, this guy's a little bit bigger than we saw on the meeting. He's a little bit skinnier than we saw. He's a little bit taller, or whatever it might be. So I thought that was also interesting, kind of funny as well. That it's just he hasn't seen them in person. And this is the first time, and they're going to right to work the first time they meet each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very weird, right? Especially the combine, like you mentioned, that's definitely a place where, the different coaches can meet up with the players. That's where they have most of their meetings. Obviously, that didn't take place. It's definitely difficult for the coaches to judge these players. And I guess when they come in, like you mentioned, they could look completely different. And Joe Judge was joking about it in his press conference that if one, guy came in and he just lost all his muscle that one day and he's just like some skinny dude just walking into the training facility, that wouldn't be such a good thing. But he did mention that everyone was, satisfactory when they were coming in. No one was, in crazy different shape than they were presumed to be. So that's a good thing. But that's pretty much it for the rookies in terms of the rookie mini camps. And like we mentioned, there was 22 players in total, obviously, with the 6 draft picks, right? And the 3 undrafted free agents, that's only 9. That means that there were 13 tryouts at the Giants training facility during the rookie mini camp. 2 of those players were signed, Corey Clement, ex-Philadelphia Eagle, and Kelvin Benjamin, too many teams to count. And he will be signed as a wide receiver, even though the big news of the rookie minicamp was that he was training as a tight end. So that was definitely interesting. So running back and wide receiver / tight end, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, so I have a few specifics on these guys because another article I wrote on thegianttake.com about both of these players, Clement and Benjamin. Alex, listen, you're making a face at me for everyone's listening. He made a little rolling his eyes type thing. You want to write an article? You write an article, and then you could shout it out on the podcast. All right?
No, it's just the shameless plug here. Okay, it's just the shameless plug, and you roll it in quite nicely. I do got to give you that.
I got to do what I got to do. So I will first start out with Clement. So basically, Corey Clement, obviously coming here from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 26 years old. He was born in New Jersey, which is pretty interesting. So he played for both teams that are close to Jersey. Obviously the Eagles. He's got to complete the trifecta by just playing with the Jets, and I think he'll have everything down pat from the area where he was born. And I think what I like about him the most is obviously, when I was doing research for the article and in the article, that Eagles running back core was stacked, meaning I wouldn't say it was stacked with a lot of talent. I mean, it was Jordan Howard at some points. It was, Alshon Jeffrey. But it was like there was just too many of them. There was like 5 running backs. I don't think he got enough time to show how good he was. But what I do like is he's a pass catcher out of the backfield, and I think that's that's pretty good stuff when you want him on a third down. What I don't like is that we signed Devontae Booker when Corey Clement could even be coming into this. You can make an exception that Corey Clement is even a better player than Devontae Booker. I'm not saying that he is, but it's like we signed Devontae Booker so early in free agency and just got a player as talented as Clement is. And I would say he's not the best player ever, but basically what I'm trying to say is we signed Booker so early for so much money and just signed Corey Clement, who might get more carries this season than Booker. So I think that's just something you got to show. I think the Giants rush is signing Booker still. We talked about it already on the podcast. I'll say it again. But basically his best year came in his rookie year when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017. For Clement, he went undrafted, had 321 yards, 4 touchdowns rushing the ball, and then 2 touchdowns receiving the ball. It's about 123 yards there. the following season at 192 yards receiving as well, and 259 yards rushing. Basically, what happened was I think after the 2019 free agency, he got he was a free agent after that year. I'm not trying to read from my article. I'm trying to go off the hook here, so that's why. And then was actually signed by the Eagles once again, and then scored a touchdown against the Giants in Week 10. I think it was the matchup there. So I thought that was pretty funny. I included that as well. And I think just another weapon. I think he could definitely fit as one of these three running backs, probably behind Booker, as obviously because of the money he got, we can assume that Booker will be number 2, but Saquon number 1, Booker number 2, and then Clement, I think, is definitely going to be there at 3. And then depending on what you want to do with Gary Brightwell, keep him on the practice squad. I don't think anyone's going to take him off the practice squad and add him to their active roster. I don't think Brightwell's that big of a star, so I think it's okay if we want to put Brightwell on the practice squad, put Brightwell as the 4th running back, or put Brightwell slotted as a special teams, whether he's a kicker or punt returner. I think that could definitely work for the Giants. On to the other player, Kelvin Benjamin. The thing with him is the weight. The reason why he was cut and hasn't been in the league since 2018, actually, which is a big thing that a lot of people alluded to, is we haven't seen him on a roster since 2018. That's a big thing. I don't know if you can hear the barking in the background, but I just wanted to address that as well. My dog Amber goes crazy every single episode. Why now? Why now? But that's why I think because of his weight, doesn't seem like the Giants want to trim it because I think they want to try him out as a tight end. And you know what? If he was coming into training camp as a wide receiver, I would have no chance that he would make the team. I believe our depth chart is so stacked right now at the wide receiver position. It's unbelievable. Dante Pettis right now is probably slotted as our 6th wide receiver, and that guy was probably a top 3 wide receiver on the 49ers when he played there before, the injuries and stuff affected him. And they had injuries as well with Kelvin Benjamin. The big gears that you want to look at, though, if you want to get hyped for Clement Benjamin, is his first season in the NFL with 1,008 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. And then that following season where he had 941 yards in 2016, because 2015 he had an injury. I think it was an ACL tear. Yes, he tore his ACL in training camp. So 2016 he had a good year. But obviously, like Alex said, played for too many teams to count. The big years you want to look at those 2 years in 2014 and 2016 with the Panthers. Then he bounced around with the Buffalo Bills, back to the Panthers, back to Buffalo, Kansas City in 2018, then gone from existence for 2 years. Now he's back in 2021. He's got a training camp little stint here with the Giants. And you know what? Maybe he makes it at the tight end position. He's got experience. I would say behind our 2 tight ends, I think Evan Ingram and our new signing Kyle Rudolph are definites 1 and 2. And then after that, maybe you see a little debate and thing with Levine Toilolo, who is still on the team, I believe. I don't think he got cut. Yeah, so Levine Toilolo, Caden Smith, and Kelvin Benjamin, they're all competing for that 3rd tight end spot.
Yeah, I mean, Toilolo did just get a new deal, actually. They extended him in free agency, so I really doubt that you're not going to see him make the roster. But if you are looking at 4 tight ends, maybe he edges out Caden Smith, who obviously is a natural tight end. Benjamin, actually, a little fun fact here off the top of my head. He was the first recipient of a Josh Allen touchdown in the NFL when he played for the Bills. Josh Allen's first touchdown was thrown to Kelvin Benjamin. If anyone in the world is interested, I found that out yesterday, and for some reason it stuck with me, so I'm sharing it now. In terms of signing, yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
In terms of the signings, I disagree with you that Clement would have a chance of being the running back 2. I think Devontae Booker, he has the flexibility in the passing game. I think he's still better than Clement in the running game. I think he's just more flexible. There's a reason Clement's a free agent right now, and he's coming to try out with the Giants even after the draft. It's because he wasn't the most sought-after person in free agency. Booker, yes, probably got a little bit too much money, but obviously the Giants, picking him up early in free agency must have seen something in him that they thought would be useful for this offense. Benjamin, I think he's a nice flexible guy. Maybe he could do some stuff at tight end. Receiver, he's marked as a receiver on the depth chart, but obviously that could change throughout training camp and stuff like that. But we have a very full roster now. And training camp's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of spots that are going to be competing. There's going to be a lot of training camp battles that we'll be able to cover. So it'll be a very exciting training camp. Last season was kind of disappointing because we kind of knew who was going to make the roster. There wasn't many surprises. There was a couple for sure, right? But I think this year we're going to see some very good players not make the roster.
But you think Clement is obviously going to be a piece in this? I think he makes the team. Like I mean, unless they bring in another veteran running back to kind of compete with him, I think there really is. I'm just really confident, in him making the team. I wouldn't say there's no doubt. That was about to be the words coming out of my mouth, but I think he definitely has a really, really, really good chance of making the team. But I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I think Brightwell makes the team, for no doubt in my mind, because of what he brings to the special teams game. We've heard what Joe Judge talks about him. He seems to talk more in depth about Gary Brightwell than any of the other rookies, actually. It seems like he really was involved in that pick, and he really likes the player. So I think I would give it a 75-25 chance that Gary Brightwell makes the roster. I think it's very likely because we know Joe Judge values special teams. Nate Ebner, obviously, they're trying to save a spot for him coming back from the Olympics, right? He's doing rugby or whatever he's doing. They're saving a spot for him on the roster because of how important he is to special teams. So I think Gary Brightwell will definitely be a piece that makes the roster. So could you see 4 running backs? Maybe, but then maybe you don't see 4 tight ends. So I think you either see Clement or Benjamin making the roster. I don't think there's room for both of them on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. All right, fine. I think Clement will make the team. I'm very confident in that. I think Brightwell can go to the practice squad and not get claimed by another team. And the thing is, Joe Judge has talked a lot about it because for some reason the press really likes to ask him about it. Obviously, I guess because it gets him excited about the whole special teams. But a lot of the press ask him, what are your thoughts on Brightwell when it comes to special teams? And then he answers. So I guess that gets him a little hyped up. Just to talk about the 2 players that were waived because of this. I'm sorry if anyone were big fans of running back Jordan Chun and tight end Nate Wheatling. Wheating. Sorry, Nate. But they were released due to the Calvin Benjamin, Corey Clement signings, as Alex shakes his head and discussed.
It's a true tragedy. It's a true tragedy.
So let's go on to preview the OTAs a little bit, and then we'll wrap this one up.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have much to talk about. Obviously, they just started yesterday, and they didn't really even start. They're really starting today, but nothing's really happening. All we really have for you is who showed up, and not exactly who, but how many. So obviously the NFLPA is discouraging players from showing up to OTAs, at least in this phase 1 and 2 section. So they're being discouraged, and the Giants were one of the teams that is very much in line with the NFLPA when it comes to the COVID safety issues with the players. So only 40 of the Giants players, which is a little less than half the roster, have shown up to the facility for OTAs. Mostly the younger players, but a key person that did stand out who showed up was Daniel Jones, the quarterback, obviously. So that's good to see. For context, if you look in context of how many players for the Giants that showed up compared to other teams, it's not great. The Jets had double the amount of players. They had 80. I'm sure Robert Saleh is very happy about that. Broncos had 75, and the Dolphins had 70. Those are the only ones that we really know in terms of public numbers. The other ones we're kind of, just not really sure about. But the Jets, Broncos, Dolphins, all teams at a similar level, all teams kind of in a similar stage of their rebuilding. I think the Dolphins especially. So it's interesting to see how many players showed up from those teams as well. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, and I really have not much on OTAs. I just think, it's something we'll be able to talk about next episode. And obviously get into some other stuff as well. Alex, we got to look at what else we did from last season. I want to see if there's any docs we did or stuff we pulled up, like schedule stuff or predictions or stuff we can look back on, maybe those player ratings from last season, take a look back on, do some old Giants stuff. Maybe we talk about a little bit Giants history, as well. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously, we have to get a little bit creative. But what is coming up, and what you can look forward to, is a special Father's Day episode in about a month. That I know is coming, and I know our fathers are way too excited about it more than us. And I know my dog Amber's excited about it too. Go. You hear that? You hear that?
How about a dog day episode? Amber comes on the podcast. I mean, she seems to be very desperate to come on, obviously, considering her. Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely have some interesting stuff going forward. Obviously, we'll also do our 53-man roster prediction before training camp starts, so we can do that, and then we'll obviously have one maybe the day before the actual roster comes out, so that way we can see how close each one of them was, kind of like what we did with our mock drafts. So that'll be fun. So we'll probably do a couple of those. And, any other news that comes out, we'll talk about that. And I'm sure we'll probably see if we can come up with like a fun game or something to do. And, hopefully we have stuff to talk about. Hopefully a lot of news comes up. And at least there is OTAs and stuff this season for us to talk about. So there definitely will be things to talk about. And if not, we'll try to be creative and get some stuff out there.
Listen, we're going to be your best podcast for all the Giants offseason news, because that's all we're going to talk about this offseason is the Giants offseason news with training camp, with OTAs, with all the Giants stuff. And you got a little father action as well in about a month. So I just wanted to kind of give a little plug to that, as I'm sure our fathers are already prepping for that episode. As they've mentioned, or my father has at least mentioned coming on the podcast probably 4 times since that last, which might not sound like a lot because it's probably more than 4 times, because I've had to be reminded, when are we coming on, Josh? Josh, when can I come on the podcast next? Father's Day episode. Look forward to it. Let's get our little plugs in before we wrap this one up. Alex, we'll start out with thegianttake.com.
thegianttake.com. We have blog posts on there. Josh has a couple new ones up, so make sure to go check those out. We'll have another one probably next week's. We'll plug that in the next episode as well. You can check out our episodes tab. We have all the episodes up there. We have a newsletter. You can subscribe to it. It tells you when all the blog posts, all the episodes, everything that's important comes out. We won't spam you, only important things. Make sure to go subscribe to that. And that's it for thegianttake.com. And make sure to go follow us on Twitter, because as you know, I'm a very rapid poster on Twitter.
Yeah, well, Alex, one tweet, an actual tweet, not a retweet, from the Anorin23, Twitter, excuse me, I was supposed to say Instagram. Follow us on Instagram with Giant Take. Follow Alex on Twitter at Anorin23 so you can see the one tweet. I'm very excited. It'll probably be a Brooklyn Nets tweet when they win the first game of their series, so I get to hear about that next episode. That's great. Knicks are back. There's that. At JoshHello29 on Twitter. Follow me at the Giant Take Pod on Twitter, and Facebook at the Giant Take for all of you people that use that, because I still just, whatever comes out on Instagram comes out on Facebook. So that's just how that works. And we really appreciate you listening. Subscribe wherever you're listening. Drop a like if you're watching it on YouTube, and 5 stars if you're going to rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. 5 stars. Yes. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. He's waving his hand up. All right. You ready to wrap this one up?
Yep. It's been a wrap for episode number 95 of the Giant Take Podcast. 5 more, and then we're at that very big number of 100. We have to see what we're going to do there. That'll be interesting. Stay tuned for that surprise.
You know what you're going to do.
It's a surprise, okay? No one knows. We don't even know, okay? Josh is lying. So episode 100, make sure to get excited for that. That's what, 5 weeks away? What's 5 weeks away from now? Let's see.
End of the school year is 5 weeks away. Thank God.
So it'll be like the week of the 21st, something like that. Make sure to check it out. We'll be out there for episode 100. It'll be a very amazing episode. And thank you for listening. Yeah.
Perfect. No, sorry. I know. We're trying to wrap this up.
Josh is getting all excited about this 100th.
We're never ending. Well, no, I just saw. So that's going to be our final week of school. So it'll be perfect. We're going to be relaxed, rested, and we're going to be like, thank God school's over. And we're also going to be like, we've reached 100 episodes of the Giant Take Podcast. But go ahead, please.
So thank you for listening to today's episode of the Giant Take Podcast. I've been your host, Alex, always joined by Josh, and we'll see you next time with some more Giants news.